Today's headlines out of the United States are once again raising serious concerns about the conduct of federal immigration enforcement. Following a deadly incident involving officers of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that has sparked outrage, protests, and of course, difficult national conversations. But this tragedy did not happen in isolation. In the weeks leading up to this incident, there have been multiple disturbing reports of alleged ICE overreach across several United States cities. Accounts have emerged of children, legitimate citizens of the United States, being chased while returning from school, mistakenly branded as undocumented immigrants, and only spared detention by the narrow timing of reaching their homes. Now, these incidents raise deeply troubling questions. Who is being recruited into ICE? What kind of orientation, screening, or accountability framework exists before agents are sent into communities? Even more unsettling are the unanswered questions that linger beneath the surface. How many children, wives, husbands, and ordinary people never made it home? How many never had the opportunity to prove their citizenship before being detained? And how many may have been unlawfully deported under the shadow of aggressive enforcement practices? Well, these are not abstract concerns. They cut to the heart of civil liberties, state power, and the value placed on human life and due process in one of the world's most influential democracies. Well, I am Star Smart, and welcome to the Flash News. Today, let's see what is happening in the United States and around the rest of the globe. Stay tuned. In today's Flash News, Venezuela's interim leader, Delcy Rodriguez, has publicly rejected claims that any foreign power is governing the country, pushing back against the United States President Donald Trump's assertion that Washington is now in charge of Caracas. Let's take a listen to Delcy Rodriguez.
And we are here, governing directly, alongside our people. The government of Venezuela is the one that truly rules in our country. No one else. There is no external agent, no foreign power that dictates how Venezuela is governed. It is Venezuela and Venezuela alone.
Well, her remarks came just days after a dramatic U.S. Special Forces operation in the Venezuelan capital that led to the capture of former President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, an operation that has sent shockwaves across Latin America. Rodriguez, who served as vice president under Maduro, struck a defiant tone by insisting that Venezuela's sovereignty remains intact. Now, even as Trump announced that millions of barrels of Venezuelan oil would soon be transferred to the United States, her messaging, however, has been inconsistent, alternating between resistance and cautious openness to cooperation, highlighting the political uncertainty gripping the country in the aftermath of Maduro's removal. Now, at the heart of the standoff is Venezuela's vast oil wealth. President Donald Trump has made it clear that any working relationship with Rodriguez hinges on the United States' access to those reserves, raising concerns that Washington's actions mount to economic coercion rather than liberation.
We were prepared to do a second strike if we needed. We're totally prepared.
But that's
and
off
we're
the
still
table.
prepared.
That's off the table now.
No, it's not. If they don't behave, we will do a second strike. Well, your demand.
The question is that the American troops, are they going to be on the ground? They're doing any kind of peacekeeping. I think Americans are very...
It depends on what happens. It depends a little bit on the new administration, if you want to call it.
So if you see that pushback from Rodriguez and ultimately...
Well, I don't think there was pushback. I think that...
She called it...
Well, you hear a different person than I hear.
Really? So you have spoken with her?
We talked to them, yeah.
Oh, you did speak.
They've been very good.
Because she called it kidnapping of Maduro.
It's all right. It's not a bad turn. Go ahead.
No, are you going to demand that Delcy Rodriguez let opposition figures return or free any political prisoners?
We haven't gotten to that yet. Right now, what we want to do is fix up the oil, fix up the country, bring the country back, and then have elections.
And after watching that reaction from January 4th, the question the world has been asking since then is this a transaction towards stability or the beginning of a new era of foreign dominance over Venezuela's resources? For many in the region, the episode revives long-standing fears of interventionism dressed up as diplomacy. But then more onto the White House, we see that it has confirmed that President Donald Trump is actively discussing options, including military action to secure control of Greenland, a move that has sharply escalated tensions with Denmark and alarmed NATO allies.
There have also been reports that the U.S. could potentially buy Greenland as one potential option on the table. What would such an offer look like? Is there anything monetarily you could provide any details there?
Well, that's something that's currently being actively discussed by the president and his national security team. And I would point out that the acquisition of Greenland by the United States is not a new idea. This is something that presidents dating back to the 1800s have said is advantageous for America's national security. The president has been very open and clear with all of you and with the world that he views it in the best interest of the United States to deter Russian and Chinese aggression in the Arctic region. And so that's why his team is currently talking about what a potential purchase would look like.
Why does the president feel he needs to own Greenland and not and put out the threat of military action when this could be done through diplomacy?
Well, who said diplomacy isn't taking place behind the scenes, Dasha? I mean, the president is interested in diplomacy. His national security team is as well. And of course, he's always willing to pick up the phone for everybody and hear out their concerns. But the president is the president of the United States of America, and he's always going to be very clear about what he views as being in our nation's best interest.
Yeah, United States Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt represented the White House there. We see that on the other hand, Danish officials have warned that such rhetoric risks fracturing the alliance at a time when unity is already strained by global conflict. Trump's renewed interest in the self-governing Arctic territory follows closely on the heels of the United States operation in Venezuela, suggesting a more assertive and expansionist foreign policy posture. We see Greenland's strategic value lies not only in its location between North America and Europe, but also in its vast untapped mineral resources, which are increasingly coveted as competition with China and Russia as it intensifies. Now, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, as we heard, framed the push as a national security imperative, arguing that acquiring Greenland would help counter rival powers in the Arctic, while Secretary of State Marco Rubio reportedly told lawmakers that Trump's preferred route remains purchasing the territory from Denmark. For Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, he had a rather strong belief that Denmark does not have a right to assert control over Greenland. Let's hear his reasons.
The real question is, by what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland? What is the basis of their territorial claim? What is their basis of having Greenland as a colony of Denmark? The United States is the power of NATO. For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States. Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland.
Well, we have also seen the President Donald Trump, his sentiment on the United States being the power of NATO in his recent Truth Social post. But of course, this hasn't come without pushbacks to the United States rhetoric. And one clear and loud one is from British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Let's take a listen.
Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark must decide the future of Greenland, and only Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark.
The mere discussion of force has unsettled allies, and we wonder if this signals a return to 19th century style power politics, Or is Washington recalibrating its global strategy for a harsher geopolitical era? We cannot say for sure. But then going deeper into the ISIS matter of today, we see the fatal shooting of an American woman by a United States immigration officer in Minneapolis, which has ignited widespread protest and renewed scrutiny of federal enforcement tactics. First of all, let's take a look at the incident.
No! Shame! Shame! Oh my God! What the What the
The woman, identified by local media as 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, was killed at close range, as you saw from the video, during that confrontation with Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE agents on a city street. Now, video footage circulating online shows the masked ICE agent firing multiple shots into Good's vehicle as she attempted to drive away from officers surrounding her car and trying to open her door. Moments later, the SUV veered out of control and crashed, leaving her bloodied body slumped inside as bystanders shouted in horror at the agents. The graphic image has fueled public anger and intensified calls for accountability. And in the defense of ICE, we see Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security, saying this.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased.
The Trump administration, which you heard, quickly claiming that Good posed a lethal threat to officers, had that narrative forcefully rejected by Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, who dismissed the assertion and demanded that ICE cease its operations in its city.
They are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
In clear terms, but then we see that prior to these tragic incident, there has been several reports of the ICE's overreach where children who are legitimate citizens of the United States returning from school are in some cases chased down while being tagged immigrants and are only saved by the bell arriving their homes before they can be captured by ICE, which brings very concerning questions to mind. Who exactly is recruited to be a part of ICE? And what orientation program do they go through before that recruitment? How many more kids, wives, men, people who never made it home or had a chance to prove their citizenships before being captured? And how many have been unlawfully deported? So many disturbing unanswered questions. The incident of Renee Good has become a flashpoint in the broader debate over immigration enforcement, police militarization, and federal overreach. When an American citizen is killed by an agency meant to enforce immigration law, where does responsibility lie and who protects civilians from the state? Right now, the whole of America believes it is a good time for the current administration to bring answer to these questions. And moving over to Iran, we see the Iranian security forces have used tear gas to disperse protesters as nationwide demonstration driven by economic hardship enter its second week, posing a significant challenge to the country's clerical leadership. The unrest, now spanning 12 days, has rattled authorities already grappling with sanctions, inflation, and the aftermath of June's conflict with Israel. The protest movement began in Tehran's historic bazaar after Iran's currency, the rial, plunged to record lows, crippling purchasing power and deepening public frustration. Now, what started as a shutdown by traders has since spread across the country, evolving into larger and more confrontational street demonstrations that reflect widespread anger at economic mismanagement. Officials have blamed the unrest on rioters and vowed harsh punishment, with the judiciary chief promising no leniency for those involved. Tensions escalated further after the Iranian police officer was stabbed to death near Tehran during efforts to control the protests. Meanwhile, exiled opposition figures have urged demonstrators to intensify their actions. As pressure mounts from both the street and from abroad, the question remains, can Iran's leadership contain the crisis without addressing the economic grievances at its core? Well, the coming days will give that answer. But then on a global scene, still on the global scene, we see a major power outage that has left nearly 100,000 people without electricity in Berlin amid the freezing temperatures, which has exposed the vulnerability of critical infrastructure in Europe's largest economy. The blackout followed an alleged left-wing arson attack on the city's power supply, plunging parts of the capital into darkness as heavy snow and sub-zero temperatures compounded the crisis. The incident has sparked debate in Germany over domestic extremism and infrastructure security, but it has also unfolded against a broader backdrop of global uncertainty. In the same week, the Trump administration announced it was withdrawing the United States from the landmark International Climate Treaty and dozens of other global bodies, signaling a sharp retreat from multilateral cooperation on climate and environmental security. For European leaders, the convergence of sabotage, extreme weather, and waning global coordination is deeply troubling. As climate-related risks increase and political polarization deepens, can nations afford weakened international frameworks? Or does Berlin's blackout serve as a warning of what lies ahead? And for the final reports on the Flash News, Elon Musk's AI chatbot Grok is facing mounting criticism after being inundated with sexually explicit images generated at users' prompting, many depicting real women without their consent. Users have reportedly instructed the chatbot to digitally undress individuals and manipulate their images into suggestive poses, highlighting the growing misuse of generative AI tools. More troubling are reports that some of the images appear to involve minors, prompting widespread outrage and fears that the technology is being used to create illegal sexual content. While the images are artificially generated, legal experts and child protection advocates warn that such material can still constitute child sexual exploitation, regardless of whether it depicts real events or not. The controversy has reignited debate over AI regulation, platform responsibility, and the ethical limits of generative technology. As AI systems become more powerful and accessible, who is responsible when they are used to violate privacy and dignity? The Grok episode underscores an urgent need for safeguards before innovation outpaces accountability. And it is at this juncture we'll draw the curtains to a close. I want to say thank you for joining us today on the Flash News, but coming at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. is Undaunted, on bringing into the news untold stories. Until then, we say thank you for joining in. We leave you with ABC Amba TV images.